All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. There's a myth that lives right at the gun counter, and it goes like this. If you're not spending a full month of rent on your sidearm, you're basically carrying a glorified paperweight. Look, I've spent enough time on a hot range to tell you something. Price tags and performance do not always walk hand in hand. In fact, some of the most reliable duty-ready pistols I've ever run through a 1,000-round burn test cost less than a set of fresh tires for your truck. We're living in a golden age of manufacturing, CNC machining, high-grade polymers, tight quality control. That stuff has leveled the playing field for the working man shooter. Today, I'm putting my reputation on the line. I'm going to show you 12 handguns that prove you can protect your family and exercise your rights for under 300 bucks. Whether you need a rugged truck gun that can take some scratches or a primary carry piece that needs to go bang every single time, these are the tools that get the job done. No premium brand tax. Number 12, CZP-10C. Starting us off at number 12 is a pistol that honestly shouldn't even be in the budget category. But thanks to some aggressive market shifts, you can now find the CZP-10C for right around $299. This is a Czech-engineered masterpiece that gives the Glock 19 a serious run for its money. The P10C is a striker-fired compact powerhouse. It's got a 4-inch cold hammer-forged barrel. The C stands for compact, but it still packs a 15+1 capacity. What sets this apart mechanically is the metal-reinforced polymer frame and the slide's nitride finish. That finish is incredibly resistant to saltwater corrosion and holster wear. Internally, the geometry is smart. It uses a unique striker block safety that gives you a much cleaner trigger path than a lot of competitors. Pros: the trigger. This is arguably the best factory striker-fired trigger on the market. It has a very distinct wall, and the reset is so short and tactile, you can feel it through your soul. Ergonomics. The grip angle feels more natural than a Glock to a lot of hands, and the aggressive stippling keeps the gun anchored, even if you're sweating through a high-stress drill. Accuracy. That tight lockup between the slide and that cold hammer-forged barrel makes this thing shoot like a match-grade pistol. Cons: that aggressive texturing. For some shooters, it's a little too cheese grater style. If you carry it against bare skin with no undershirt, it can get uncomfortable after a few hours. Magazines. Unlike some others on this list, CZ magazines can be a little pricey. You'll often see them running $35 to $40 a pop. On the range, that low-bore axis translates to very little muzzle flip. When I'm running double taps at 15 yards, the sights just snap back onto target effortlessly. It's a sophisticated machine that feels like it should cost $600, but it's sitting right there in the budget bin. Number 11, Mossberg MC2C. Moving to number 11, we're looking at a pistol from a company that's world-renowned for shotguns, but they've proven they can build a hell of a handgun too. This is the Mossberg MC2C. While the bigger names were playing it safe, Mossberg went back to the drawing board. They built a slimline compact that doesn't feel like a toy. The MC2C features a 3.9-inch stainless steel barrel, and it's wearing a high-end DLC finish. That's diamond-like carbon. And that coating is usually something you see on a custom $2,000 1911. It gives you extreme friction reduction and serious wear resistance. The frame is a glass-reinforced polymer with a grip angle inspired by the classic 1911. So for most shooters, it points naturally. Pros: capacity to size ratio. This is the magic trick. It uses a double-stack magazine that somehow stays incredibly slim. You get 13+1 or 15+1 in a frame that feels like a single stack. Safe takedown system. This is a massive safety win. Unlike most striker-fired guns, the STS system lets you remove the striker assembly from the rear without ever having to touch the trigger to disassemble it. Natural pointability. Because of that 1911 grip angle, you're not fighting the gun to find your front sight on a fast draw. Cons: aftermarket support. It's a bit of a lone wolf. Finding a high-quality Kydex holster or specific aftermarket parts takes more hunting than a Glock. Slide serrations. They look cool, but with wet or oily hands, some folks may want them more aggressive. for positive manipulation under stress. On the range, that flat profile trigger breaks clean at about 5.5 pounds. The recoil impulse is linear, predictable, so your follow-up shots stay tight even when you're pushing the pace on a bill drill. For a street price often sitting around $289, you're getting a sophisticated piece of hardware. Number 10, Taurus G3C. At number 10, we've got what I call the Redemption King. The Taurus G3C represents one of the biggest turnarounds in firearms history. Taurus took the feedback from earlier models and built a compact striker-fired tool that actually earns its place in a holster. The G3C is built around a 3.2-inch barrel. It features a tenifer-coated alloy steel slide. That finish is tough as nails against sweat and humidity. But the real technical star here is the restrike capability. If you hit a hard primer and the gun goes click instead of bang, you can pull the trigger again without having to cycle the slide. In a life-or-death moment, that can be a game changer. Pros reliability. After running thousands of rounds through these, I can tell you they are workhorses. They'll eat almost any cheap 9mm practice ammo you throw at them. Compatibility. Taurus was smart here. The G3C comes with steel sights that are compatible with Glock-style aftermarket options. So you've got a world of fiber optic and night sight upgrades. Memory pads. The frame has recessed indexing points. They tell your fingers exactly where to sit for a consistent grip every time. Cons, the trigger take-up. It's a long walk to the wall. It's a very safe design, but you need reps to learn where that break happens, especially if you're used to competition triggers. Slide to frame fit. You might notice a little more rattle than a $500 gun. It doesn't hurt accuracy at defensive distances, but it reminds you this is a budget price tag. This gun is surprisingly punchy for its size, and the aggressive grip texture really helps anchor it during rapid fire. At 7 to 10 yards, it'll keep everything in the A-zone all day long. And considering you can often find these for $239, that's a lot of protection for a very small investment. Number 9, Springfield XD Mod 30SP. At number 9, we're looking at a heavy hitter that's been updated for the modern era. The Springfield XD Mod 30SP. Springfield took their legendary service pistol platform, a platform with decades of history in civilian and law enforcement hands, and overhauled it. The goal was simple: high-end tech, bargain price point. OSP stands for Optical Sight Pistol, and mechanically that's a massive win. The slide is factory milled with a removable plate, so you can mount a red dot directly to the slide without paying a gunsmith $200 for milling. Internally, the Mod 3 features a redesigned striker-fired system. Paired with a flat-face trigger, you get a cleaner break and a more tactile reset than older generations. The 4-inch barrel has a fully supported chamber. That's a critical safety feature if you plan on running high-pressure plus P ammunition. Pro's dual safety system. You get a trigger blade safety, plus the signature XD grip safety. That's a big pro for shooters who want an extra mechanical layer, without fumbling for a manual thumb lever under stress. Grip zone texture. The frame has updated aggressive texturing. It stays anchored in your hand in wet conditions or during rapid strings of fire. Optics ready. Getting a red dot ready slide on a gun that dips below 300 during sales is practically unheard of. Cons. The bulk. This is a chunky firearm compared to a slimline carry gun. You'll need a high-quality holster and a sturdy belt if you want to conceal it all day, and bore axis. Like most Springfield XD models, it sits a little higher in the hand. Some shooters feel that creates more perceived muzzle flip compared to flatter shooters like a CZ or a Glock. In my endurance testing, the Mod 3 has been a tank. Over 1,000 rounds straight out of the box. Not a single malfunction. The recoil is manageable thanks to the slide mass, and that flat trigger makes it easy to stay honest on transitions. Number 8, Beretta APX A1 Carry, coming in at number 8. A refined Italian beast that's seen a major price drop recently, the Beretta APX A1 Carry. This is Beretta's answer to deep concealment, bringing over 500 years of firearms heritage into a package that can disappear on you. The APX A1 Carry is a micro-compact striker-fired 9mm. It has a 3-inch barrel and an incredibly modular chassis system. What's really cool here is the slide. It's finished with a rugged nitride coating, and it has those distinct full-length serrations Beretta is known for, so it's easy to rack, even with a weaker grip or gloved hands. It's also optics ready out of the box. Supporting several micro red dot footprints, pros build quality. Even at this price, it feels like a Beretta. Fit and finish are better than almost anything else under $300. Modular chassis. The internal serialized chassis can be swapped into different colored grip frames, so customization is cheap and easy. Deep concealment, it is staggeringly thin. This gun disappears under a light summer outfit, perfect for folks who can't dress around a firearm. Cons, the trigger. It's a longer, heavier pull compared to the CZ or the Dagger. It's designed that way for carry safety, but it takes real training to master at distance. Capacity. With 6+1 or 8+1, you're trading round count for that ultra-slim profile. You'll want a spare magazine. On the range, you'll feel the snap of a small gun, but the ergonomics are well thought out. You've got enough real estate to run it effectively. It's a specialized tool for close quarters protection. Don't expect to win target competitions with it, but you can bet your life it'll cycle when you need it to. Number 7, Ruger Security 9. At number 7 is the Ruger Security 9. This one is designed for the shooter who needs one tool to do it all without draining the savings account. This is not just a scaled-up pocket gun, it's a mid-size powerhouse. It balances like a duty sidearm, but it's still realistic for concealed carry. Technically, the Security 9 uses Ruger's Secure Action System, and it's derived from the LCP2. That means it's hammer-fired, but the hammer is shrouded within the slide, so it won't snag on clothing during the draw. The slide is through hardened alloy steel, paired with a high-performance glass-filled nylon frame, and you get an integral accessory rail for your favorite lights or lasers. This design gives you the smooth pull of a double-action hammer feel, with the short, positive reset people like in striker-fired pistols. Pros recoil management. That 4-inch barrel and the added slide mass makes recoil incredibly soft. Great for high-volume training. Also great for shooters who don't love muzzle flip. Capacity. It feeds from 15-round flush-fit magazines, so you get full-size capacity in a package that stays fairly slim. Maintenance. This thing is a workhorse. It doesn't demand constant attention. Field strip it. Light oil on the rails every few hundred rounds, and it'll run forever. Cons, sights. Factory sights are basic, drift-adjustable polymer. If this is your primary home defense tool, you'll probably want to upgrade to steel night sights. The finish, it's durable, but that blued slide can show wear over time, especially if you're practicing draw strokes daily in a Kydex holster. On the range, I noted a consistent 5 3/4 pound break, and it feels lighter than it sounds because of the internal geometry and the way the sear releases. For a real-world price frequently seen under $300, the Security 9 remains one of the most reliable American-made values out there. Number 6, Stoeger STR9. Moving on to number 6, a pistol a lot of folks in the community call the Glock killer on a budget, the Stoeger STR9. Stoeger is owned by Beretta, and you can see that European heritage in the lines and curves. This is a duty-sized striker-fired 9mm. It feels like it belongs in a professional's holster. The technical architecture is built around a heavy-duty, nitrogen-hardened steel slide. That mass helps tame recoil, and it's one of the flattest shooting guns in this entire countdown. The barrel locks up tight with the slide, and that contributes to excellent accuracy. I've seen these rival pistols that cost $700 or more from a bench, and the internal components are finished to a surprisingly high standard for the money. Pros ergonomics, deep finger grooves, aggressive texturing. It feels like it was molded for a human hand. Adjustability, interchangeable back straps let you set the length of pull for your hand size. The trigger, exceptionally crisp for a budget gun. Definitive wall, short, audible reset. That reset encourages fast, accurate follow-up shots. Cons, proprietary parts. You're in Stoeger's ecosystem. It does not use Glock holsters or magazines, and those proprietary mags can cost more than some others on this list. Brand recognition. Even with Beretta backing it, Stoeger doesn't have the same massive aftermarket as Smith & Wesson or Ruger, so niche accessories can take some hunting. When you're running bill drills or transition practice, the STR9 shines. That reset is so positive, you can't miss it, even under the stress of a timer. And with a street price hovering around $299, you're getting a rugged duty pistol for a fraction of the cost of its Austrian inspiration. Number 5. Taurus GX4. Coming in at number 5 is the Taurus GX4. The G3C we talked about earlier is a fantastic value. But the GX4 is Taurus stepping into the high-capacity micro-compact arena. It's directly competing with the SIG P365 and the Springfield Hellcat, but at a fraction of the cost. The GX4 is a ground-up design, not just a shrunken G3. It features a 1-inch wide reinforced polymer frame and an 11-round flush-fit capacity. Mechanically, it's a striker-fired system with a flat-face trigger, and for its size, that trigger breaks surprisingly crisp. The slide gets a gas nitride coating for corrosion resistance, and the barrel is stainless steel with a DLC coating. That's a premium-style feature you usually see on higher-end pistols. Pros modular grip. Unlike most micro-compacts in this bracket, the GX4 has interchangeable back straps, so you can fit the palm swell to your hand. The trigger, short take-up, tactile reset. Double taps feel effortless in rapid-fire drills. Ergonomics. Taurus built memory pads into the frame, so your trigger finger and support thumb index consistently. Cons. Snap factor. Because it's so light, under 19 ounces, it can feel snappy with high-velocity defensive loads. Accessory rail. Due to the micro size, it lacks a standard Picatinny rail, so you're limited to proprietary lights or lasers made for the GX4. On the range, the GX4 punches way above its weight class. At 10 yards, this tiny blaster can hold a 3-inch group all day long, and for a street price that often lands between $240 and $270, that's a modern, high-capacity defender that disappears under a t-shirt. Number 4. Canik TP9SF. At number 4, we have a legend of reliability from across the pond, the Canik TP9SF. Canik has completely shifted expectations for what a budget duty pistol can do, and the TP9SF is the workhorse that started it all. The TP9SF is a full-size striker-fired 9mm. It features a 4.5-inch match-grade barrel. The slide is made by CNC machining, and it's finished with a tough Cerakote-style coating to resist harsh environments. One unique technical feature, a loaded chamber indicator on top of the slide and a striker status indicator at the rear, so you get both visual and tactile confirmation of the gun's condition. Pros world-class trigger. Even the base model comes with a trigger that puts many $500 guns to shame. Short take-up, and a reset you can feel and hear, even through hearing protection. Capacity. It ships with 18-round magazines made by Mekgar. That's the gold standard for magazine reliability. Durability. This platform has passed NATO standard endurance testing, including 60,000 rounds without a failure. Cons. Size. As a full-size duty gun, it's not the easiest thing to conceal unless you're wearing a heavy jacket or carrying outside the waistband. The sights. They're high-quality Warren tactical sights, but the rear is a blackout design. Some shooters find that slower to pick up in low light compared to a 3-dot system. Shooting the TP9SF is a dream. Recoil is incredibly manageable. Slide mass helps. Grip ergonomics help. It's a professional-grade tool that often sells for right around $299, and that makes it the ultimate no-excuses home defense option. Number 3. Tisas PX9 Gen 3. Moving to number 3. A Turkish powerhouse that's been disrupting the American market, the Tisas PX9 Gen 3. This is a striker-fired 9mm that feels and performs more like a $600 duty gun than a budget blaster. The technical execution on this frame is what sets it apart. You get a CNC machine slide, front and rear cocking serrations, and they're deep enough for positive manipulation. Even if your hands are sweaty or covered in carbon, the slide is finished in a tough Tennifer-style coating. It resists holster wear and sweat corrosion like a champ. One major technical advantage is compatibility. It uses SIG P2 26 style magazines. Those are easy to find at gun shows or online, and they give you capacity options from 15 to 20 rounds. Pros: the trigger, flat face design, clean break at about 4.5 pounds, short tactile reset, optics ready, out of the box. RMR footprint, so you can mount a red dot without paying for custom machining. Customization, interchangeable back straps and side panels. That's a feature usually reserved for high-end Heckler and Koch pistols. It lets you tailor the grip swell to your palm. Cons: break-in period. That recoil spring is stiff out of the box. It may need about 50 to 100 rounds of hotter ammo, like 124 grain NATO loads, to settle in. Finish: it's durable, but it's functional, not beautiful. It's a tool, not a display piece. On the range, recoil is very linear. Grip texture gives great purchase without shredding your skin. And for a street price that often dips to $279, you're getting a duty-grade tool that outshoots guns twice its price. Number 2, Canik Mete MC9. At number 2, we're looking at a subcompact that shifted expectations for what a budget concealed carry piece can do. The Canik Mete MC9. Most companies strip features to hit a low price. Canik went the opposite direction. They packed this Micro 9 with what a serious shooter actually wants. Technically, the MC9 is a marvel of efficiency. It has a 3 1/8 inch barrel, total length just over 6 inches, and that internal dual recoil spring assembly is tuned for high-pressure self-defense loads. It helps mitigate muzzle flip, and it helps you get faster follow-up shots compared to competitors under 300. Pros: world-class trigger, arguably the best in its class. Short, crisp take-up. Reset you can actually feel through your finger, even under the stress of a timer. Co-witness ready, it's optics ready, and the irons are tall enough to be seen through a micro red dot window. If your battery dies, ergonomics. That grip is aggressively stippled. It locks into your palm, and that matters when you're running high-velocity defensive loads in a small gun. Cons: tight tolerances. The slide-to-frame fit is so tight, it demands a high-quality lubricant, like Lucas Oil, especially in the first 200 rounds, to prevent cycling issues. Stiff controls. Some users report the magazine release feels stiff at first, until the spring settles. And yeah, I recommend running a few boxes of 147 grain rounds through it, just to seat the components and smooth things out. When you consider you're getting 12 or 15 round capacity and a world-class trigger for a street price hovering around $299, those quirks are easy to overlook. It's a high-performance machine that fits in the palm of your hand. Number 1, PSA Dagger. Topping our countdown is the pistol that didn't just join the budget market. It rewrote the playbook for what an American shooter can expect for the money. I'm talking about the PSA Dagger from Palmetto State Armory. If you want innovation for the people, this is the gold standard. The Dagger is essentially a highly refined clone of the Gen 3 Glock 19, but calling it just a clone is doing it a massive disservice. It takes a proven foundation and injects modern ergonomics that many shooters, myself included, actually find superior to the original Austrian design. The slide is machined from high-grade stainless steel, nitride finish, extreme durability, weather resistance. Internally, it keeps the simplicity of a striker-fired system, but optimizes connector and striker spring weights for a more consistent feel. Pros: superior ergonomics. The frame has more aggressive contouring, a deeper undercut at the trigger guard, and an extended beaver tail. That lets you get your hand higher on the gun. And that's the secret sauce for controlling muzzle flip. Extreme compatibility. This is the biggest pro. It has near total compatibility with the Gen 3 Glock 19 aftermarket. You can swap triggers, flat face competition models, swap sights, suppressor height night sights, direct fit, value package. The Dagger often ships optics ready, pre-cut slide for RMR footprint dots, and it feeds from standard 15-round Glock-compatible magazines found at any gun store. Cons: break-in period. The recoil spring and striker assembly are built tight, so you might need to run a magazine or two of 115 grain round nose ammo to let the parts marry together. Roll pin maintenance. Unlike the solid pins in a Glock, the Dagger uses roll pins. They're secure, but you'll want a proper punch set if you ever decide to do a full detail strip of the frame. In our 30,000 round endurance tests, the Dagger stayed flawless. Once it's broken in, this thing is a hammer, reliable, customizable, and at a price point that frequently hits $299. It's the ultimate Glock killer for the working man. It starts as a basic carry gun, and it evolves with you as your skills grow. There you have it, 12 pistols that prove you do not need to drop a full month's rent to secure your home or your person. The market in 2026 is better than ever, and these tools prove budget no longer has to mean basic. For your next range session, I want you to focus on a simple, failure-to-stop style drill concept. Do it responsibly. Follow your range rules. Use a silhouette target with clearly defined scoring zones. And if you're new to it, run it with a qualified instructor. Start close. 7 yards is a common baseline. Work controlled hits, then a careful, deliberate precision shot into an approved scoring zone. And pay attention to something important: how these budget triggers handle the reset under a timer. If you found this technical breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps us keep the lights on here at the range, so we can keep burning through brass for you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Stay sharp.